The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do the intro? We're live.
We're live. Ladies and
Hello.
gentlemen, and boys and attendees and girls and dogs, or I don't know who is this webinar. But we are more than welcome to be with us during the next 50 minutes now, because we're 5 minutes earlier than expected.
Well, it's better to be 5 minutes early than 5 minutes late, right?
Yeah. It depends.
I also want to make sure, it depends, that's true, yeah. But I think just for the people that are joining, we're not getting started ahead of time. But a good practice is to start broadcast a little early, just to make sure that the audio works well, the video works well. As you can see, both Henrik and I are not shy to show our faces.
Yes.
So if you could do us a favor for those people that are already online, if you want to use the question feature and go to webinar and just let us know whether you can hear us all right, whether you can see us, whether you can see the slides. And I think the first thing's coming. Sounds good.
And if you want to tweet or share your experience, you can do it as well. You're more than welcome. There is no way to be shy today. Sounds good. Thanks, Michael.
Sounds good.
I can hear you both well. Okay.
That's good. And we're both smiling. It seems, where are you today? You are home, are you?
No. I was home this morning, but I wanted to have the best internet connections of the region, so that's why I went back to Neotys headquarters.
Okay, cool. And for people that don't know, where is Neotys headquarters?
Neotys headquarters is based in France. Now, it's in south of France, so I don't know if you know your geography. So I think we have more time for that. So let me explain the story of France. So if you take the map of France, it's south of France, close to Marseille, and we're just there. So if you're looking for the sun, Andy doesn't know much about it. You know the yellow stuff in the sky. We can see it from where we live. I know from Linz it's more difficult, I think.
Well, it depends on a cloudy day or if our steel factory is producing too much steel. Sometimes it's a little hard to see the sun. But yeah, it's all good. Very nice. Well, I think even our jokes and our kind of warm-up phase, people are still joining, which means we're not scaring them away. Right, that's good news. I think so. And by the way, speaking of Marseille and France, I think we should quickly take the time to also advertise Whopper.
Yes, that's correct.
Because you guys are hosting Whopper, the workshop on performance engineering, end of May in Marseille.
Correct. So it's going to happen the 28th, 20th, and 13th of May in the Neotys headquarters, so in south of France. So for those who's interested to be part of that great event, I would suggest to submit your call for paper directly into the Whopper's website.
Perfect. Really nice. Anything else? For me, in Linz, Austria, it is 4 p.m. sharp. I know people are still joining. But do you want to, because this is recorded anyway, right? Are we recording this?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are recorded. I said some dummy stuff. I'm sorry. So excuse me, Neotys corporate marketing. I'm sorry about that.
I think they can cut it out anyway. But that's the benefit of being an early joiner. For those people that are already joined, they hear all the fun stuff. But anyway, I think this is a great opportunity to officially kick it off. So typically when I do these webinars, and I know, Henrik, you do them as well quite a bit, we have this little fun part in the beginning, but then we kind of switch over to more serious, and then we can say, let's do a 3-to-1 for the official recording to start. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Here we go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're based. So welcome to this webinar. So it's a joint webinar organized between Neotys and Dynatrace. And today we're going to talk about fully automated full stack AI supported self-services and performance engineering. So today, my name is Henrik Krekset. I'm more than happy to be your presenter from Neotys. So I hope you will have a great 45 minutes. And with me, I have the honor to have my friend Andreas Grabner. Thanks to be here, Andreas.
Well, thank you for having me, actually, right? And we two have been working together for quite some time now, and but I believe it has never been as energetic as we just had in terms of how we get the whole thing started. Well, thanks for this. Thanks also for promoting Captain here. We will hear more about Captain later on. But as you can see, there's a new logo on the page, which is a new open source project that both of our companies are contributing to, and that we are very excited about. Henrik, shall we kind of kick it off? I think I probably need to ask you again for. Oh, I can already control your screen because you are sharing.
Yeah, so just gonna, before you start, just a small reminder for those who's not familiar with webinars. So this is a webinar provided by GoToWebinar. This is not a commercial. And so, which means you are not able to talk. So there is no way to exchange with your microphones. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. There is a question panel in the GoToWebinar widget. So please open that question panel, drop your questions, and at the end of the session of this webinar, we will have a dedicated session to answer to all your questions. And if you have some urgent request or whatever, what happens during the webinar, don't worry. You can still watch the end of this webinar because it's been recorded. So you will receive a link after the webinar. So let's start, and I will leave Andy present Dynatrace.
Perfect. Let's see if the remote control works of your screen. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, here we go. Yes. All right, so for those people that don't know Dynatrace, we are the software intelligence platform for the enterprise cloud. I know this sounds very lofty and very marketing-ish, but really what it is, we are more than just APM. And I think if you go to our website, if you are giving it a shot to try Dynatrace yourself, you see that we have high fidelity data thanks to our one agent technology, which does full stack monitoring from the end user through the apps to services all the way down to the network, to your host, to your cloud environment. We do automated end-to-end mapping of all of your dependencies, vertical and horizontal stack. What this means, I'll talk about a little more later. Thanks to this high fidelity data, thanks to all the dependencies that we have live, we can feed our deterministic AI, which we call Dynatrace Davis. And the reason why we do all this in a fully automated way is because we want to give you answers that you can execute actions on instead of just the data, where you need even more people to analyze the data. So this is kind of the whole idea of Dynatrace. It's a software intelligence platform for the enterprise cloud, and there will be more information later on in case you have not tried it, how you can get your hands on it. So this is it about Dynatrace. Henrik, what about you?
Who is Neotys? So I don't know if you've been hearing about Neotys, but probably more about our product, NeoLoad. So I'm going to remind you who we are. So basically, that was too fast. We are providing a load testing platform. So we try to provide a solution that allows you to do load test on-premise, on the cloud, but also designed for distributed teams and collaboration. That's why we have this, we call it the dashboard, the platform. I will explain a little bit more, and you will see it during the demo. And on top of that, of course, similar to Dynatrace, we have tons of APIs because we want and we want you to take our data as well. So API are aimed for that. What are our key differentiator to the market? I would say that we have three main features that differentiate to our competition. I would say first is the automatic user path maintenance. So if you have to maintain your scenarios quite in a regular pace, this feature will help you to save a tremendous amount of time. And also, script design is we've been investing on a lot on this. So we try to be the most fastest load testing solution of the market in terms of scripting and building your testing assets. So this is, I would say, the main differentiation. And also we are mobile ready. We have mobile integration with mobile players, and we have the one emulations that comes with our product for free. But if you want to hear more, I would recommend to go to websites and look at the different topic that we have here. So, Andy,
Awesome.
why are we here today? What are the main proposition?
Yeah, well, because we are not just monitoring and not just load testing, right? I think when we sat down to figure out what are the value props, the joint value props, it's around automation, self-service, hybrid cloud native, and continuous. Now, what this really means, and I want to just pick the first two, and then Henrik, I'll leave the other two to you. The automation that you mentioned earlier is key, and it's all enabled through the APIs that actually allow us to connect the two products better together. So what that means, you will see later on, Neotys is able to push more context about the tests that are executed to Dynatrace, so that in Dynatrace, when you analyze the data, our AI that is automatically actually doing this for you understands more about which test was executed at which time. And you will see actually some really cool things that Neotys additionally pushes over to Dynatrace to feed the AI. So it's all about automation, because we have to test more and analyze more, but we don't have more time. Therefore, automation is key. And the other thing is self-service, right? I think the combination of our tools makes everyone all of a sudden a performance expert. And you can see on the right here, on the top right, the customers examples. Instead of having a group of the center of excellence as the experts, we have customers that say now all of a sudden everyone becomes a performance auditor, because the integrations that we build, the smartness we build into the tool, and the self-service, the way we enable, we give this data to people, makes everyone an expert, and they can analyze the data without having to always rely on the experts, which are not always available. Right?
The third thing is hybrid cloud native. I mean, today, if you look at modern stack, everything hosted in cloud or using Kubernetes clusters, doing traditional load test on that could be a pain, obviously. I think Dynatrace has the most efficient solution of the market to discover the architecture and monitor it properly. So here, I think the integration here makes a lot of sense because you will get what the information required to understand what happens in those complex environments. And in the load testing sides, we try to provide all the features, and you will see that later on, to help you design your scripts and or testing assets in a code fashion. And also, I think we'll talk about it later on. Everything is about test as code, monitoring as code, quality as code, I would say. And so it makes sense to test, build through the code approach to do a continuous testing. So and you will see, you will hear a lot of things about it. We'll start with a demonstration, but I think there will be a nice transition to Captain for that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So let's actually have a look at how this looks like. Okay. So what here is the combination, or let's say the first use case, the first value prop, automated, context-based hotspot and comparison analysis. So if you install Dynatrace in your environment, then Dynatrace automatically monitors every single transaction, every single host, every process, everything, relay, everything that happens in your environment. Now, what NeoLoad is doing, every time when you start a test, it actually tells Dynatrace which test was started, when was it started, was it done, through Jenkins, was it done through another tool, was it done, what's the context, who executed which particular test at which particular point in time, even as you can see here, with the link back to the NeoLoad dashboards. And with this context in Dynatrace, you can actually then say, well, I want to now understand what are the hotspots. So with this context information, you can specifically tell and ask Dynatrace, show me the hotspots of this particular test run that are executed. Because Dynatrace understands which test ran at which particular point in time against which part of the infrastructure, which applications, which services. That's great. Second thing is, we're not only testing a single build, but we are continuously testing. Now, if you have test run 186 and NeoLoad automatically tells Dynatrace about 186, then instead of doing a full hotspot analysis, we can do a full stack hotspot comparison. So you can actually ask Dynatrace, well, what's the difference now between build 185 and 186? And then Dynatrace automatically crunches through all the data on the complete infrastructure that was tested by your test and tells you either whether it's an infrastructure issue, whether it's an application issue, a service issue, whether with log problems, whether it was a problem with the cloud. Everything fully out of the box. And the nice thing is, thanks to the context that NeoLoad is pushing over, we can make these specific analysis options. We can execute this specific hotspot analysis options here. Right? The next thing, I like this a lot, self-service, where we talked about self-service. So what you're looking at right now is a Dynatrace dashboard. But thanks to the integration, NeoLoad is actually pushing their metrics into Dynatrace through the API so that you have a single dashboard in Dynatrace. If you prefer Dynatrace to start in Dynatrace, then you can look at the Dynatrace data and the NeoLoad data in a single view in a single product, right? So that's a nice way for those people that are more familiar and they want to start there. But then, Henrik, I believe the same works the other way around, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bi-direction integration, and typically we do the monitoring. We are grabbing metrics that Dynatrace is able to collect, and we are sending it over to our dashboards. And here you can see it's a screenshot of our web dashboards. And what is great with the web dashboard, and you will see that during the demonstration, because I have the Dynatrace metrics within my product, I can do live comparison. So you can do live comparison, like Andy mentioned, directly in Dynatrace. But during a load test, while the metrics is arriving in your UI, I can directly trend and compare things and see if there's a regression or not. So I don't have to wait 10 minutes later to see if they have a regression through the trendings on Jenkins or any other dashboards. I can see it directly live from NeoLoad. So I have the NeoLoad metrics about response time, hit per second, and the others. And if I use Dynatrace, obviously I will also get the Dynatrace metrics as well. So I think that's efficient. Both of the teams, if you're a NeoLoad expert, you will have your data in NeoLoad, and if you're a more Dynatrace expert, you will have our data in Dynatrace as well. The other thing is about other thing that we added in this fresh new integration is we want to help you to detect problems as early as possible. And Dynatrace has this AI detecting problems for you directly, showing you the bottlenecks and everything. So you're saving a tremendous amount of time. But when you're running early performance engineering, like Andy mentioned it at the beginning of our webinar, our development environment has no traffic. So the AI doesn't know much about what is a great and normal situation. So that's why now, with a new integration, we can define rules to define what is a normal situation based on response times, based on resource utilizations. And what happens from the moment the AI has those rules, Dynatrace is able to open tickets, problems. And from those problems, you can take advantage of all the great features that is available to do the full stack root cause analysis from the problem and directly understand who was impacted and drill down to see what was causing that problem. So that I think is super efficient.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think the cool thing here is, right, I mean, the way you implemented this is you can really tell our AI that, how many Docker containers do you expect under a certain load? How much network traffic do you expect to happen between, let's say, your different availability zones in your cloud provider? And you can, this is the way you do it, right? Automatically, before you run the test, you let the Dynatrace AI know about these, let's say, expected behaviors. And in case there's an anomaly to the expected behavior, Dynatrace detects that anomaly as the test is running, not at the end of the test when you need to analyze the data, but as the test is running, and it gives you also feedback back to NeoLoad and the direct link to the comparison again, telling you, why is this slow? Why do we run on more containers than expected? Why do we have more network bandwidth consumption? Why is there more memory consumption? What's happening? And I really love this. I mean, this is just spot on the way you integrated this, the pushing the anomaly rules to the AI. Really cool. The other thing is, when we talk about hybrid cloud native, I know it sounds like a very, again, lofty word, but the nice thing is if you look at the traditional testing, and Henry, correct me if I'm wrong, but in traditional, it was a black box testing, as we talked about, for many, many years. You're testing an application against their API, against the front end, and you don't necessarily know what's really happening all the way in the back. Now with Dynatrace, you get the full stack visibility, but not only full stack in terms of a single app, from the app all the way down to the process, but also end to end, which means what you see here is an example from one of our customers where they have a very, let's say, complex enterprise app where they have legacy code, where they have microservices, where they have databases, where they have some AWS in there, and also some third-party components. And now, all of a sudden, all this data, thanks to your integration, is not only available in Dynatrace, but you can also pull this data back to NeoLoad into your dashboards. You can define anomaly rules on every single data point along this end-to-end hybrid cloud stack. And I think this is pretty cool. Last point that I wanted to make here, continuous, right? This is the value prop that we are, I think, both very excited about, because we are all about continuous performance testing and enabling what we call the unbreakable continuous delivery pipeline. So the unbreakable continuous pipeline is the concept or the best practice that we advocate to our joint customers, which is if you have a pipeline, and now I know this is simplified with staging and production, but every time you are pushing a change and running a test in a pre-prod environment, you let Dynatrace know about it. You saw this earlier, right? We saw build information can be pushed over and test information can be pushed over to Dynatrace. What we can then do, we can take this data fully automatically and then use this for automated quality gates. So through the concept of monitoring as code, or as actually, Henrik, I like it a lot what you said, quality as code. What are my quality metrics? What defines the deployment quality of that I want to push through? So through configuration as code, I can tell the pipeline which metrics to pull out from NeoLoad, from Dynatrace, and then act as quality gates based on thresholds, based on historical data. And if it goes further, right, if we are good with that build, we push the build in production. Again, pushing context means we tell Dynatrace who deployed which build at which particular point in time into production, what were the test results in staging that actually justified the whole thing. That's all great. We can use then the same concept of monitoring as code or quality as code to validate if the production deployment really worked. And if it worked and everything is good, and hopefully our users are happy, and in case a problem happens later on, thanks to the anomaly detection that Dynatrace brings in, we can not only notify people about the problem, but we can also execute more dedicated, more to the point auto remediation scripts, because we know what was the last deployment that led to this particular issue, who approved it, which were the tests that ran before to validate this. So we can actually then get the right people involved to fix this problem in a much more automated way. And now, Henrik, I know I kind of alluded already where you guys are in that kind of pipeline flow, but you are everywhere.
Yep, we are everywhere. We are quite sticky, in fact. We are, it's quite sticky. In when you start using it, it's you have full of them, and it's quite annoying. But yeah, we will. I will add. In fact, you didn't mention about staging. I will even be in development environments where if I knew early performance testing, I need to test my component. I will be also there and use Dynatrace as well. Staging, you said quality gate with and going further. Doing production. I mean, production, I would say it depends on the maturity of the customer if you do testing production. But we have a couple of ideas with Andy about why don't we extract the data from Dynatrace to help you scope your test. So that's just something that will probably happen in later on this couple of months. So I think the overall situation, the solution sounds really awesome, and like any great chef in any restaurants or kitchen, there is always a secret ingredient. So
or multiple secret ingredients.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So let's talk about that secret ingredients. So then you will see that your lasagna will sounds differently with these secret ingredients.
You're right. You're right. Okay, let me start on our side because I know our secret ingredient pretty well. The key secret ingredient here is the Dynatrace One Agent. It's a single agent technology that enables the full stack monitoring, right? You can roll out the One Agent either through your automation scripts. We also have full support for the operator framework on Kubernetes and OpenShift. We obviously support Cloud Foundry using Bosch in a Bosch extension to get deployed. But the idea is once you automatically roll out the One Agent, it gives you full stack visibility, automated, from the data center, the host, the processes, the services, the applications, the network, the logs, the end users. All is there with a single agent. Nothing else needs to be done. Now, the additional thing that we're advocating for is tagging, because you will end up monitoring a lot of things. And even though Dynatrace knows a lot about the dependencies, we want to enrich the data that Dynatrace has with more metadata, like, hey, does this service belong to a particular application? Does it belong into a specific stage? You can see here that we automatically pull out tags, let's say, from AWS, from Google, from the cloud vendors, from Kubernetes, from OpenShift. But you can enrich it with your own information, like, does this service belong to team A or B? Or like in this case, if you look at the service layer, it says the service is called shipping, and it belongs into the environment staging, which is great information that later on NeoLoad can actually use, which brings me to the next secret ingredient. Henrik.
So the next one, I think for those who had the chance to use our previous integration, you quite know that we are first using the sending to Dynatrace our the load testing information, the context, I would say, the users, the scenario name, and so on, through a specific header name. And you had to build your own request attributes rules in Dynatrace. So that was a mandatory step. Otherwise, you won't be able to take advantage of the integration. And this has been resolved. But I think the other way around, other great things is that we are everything in Dynatrace is based on tags. So we have a tags. So what we should first do, NeoLoad takes the tags and look at the service. So through the service, I am able to recognize that it's a SockShop frontend, for example. And then with the help of Dynatrace, I have the Smartscape. So I know the dependencies related to that service. So I'm able to grab all those different dependencies. And also from the moment I got a service, I can see in which process they're running, which host they're running. And if I want to have the precise information in NeoLoad about the monitoring, the data that we are collecting, I need to tag. So NeoLoad is running through the entire architecture, the dependencies, and put tags on the service dependencies, but also on the hosts. And from I have that, the tag has been placed automatically. I can create my anomaly rules that we spoke earlier on specific nodes through the help of those tags again. So I can push also some test informations. So saying that on that service, yesterday we had a test between 1 a.m. and 2 p.m. and have the reference of the test. And we also tag the traffic. So all those request attribute rules I mentioned at the beginning of that slide is over. NeoLoad is placing them automatically. So you don't have to worry about anything anymore. We are doing it automatically. And last, I think, is from the moment we're pulling the, not last, I would say, we are pulling the Dynatrace metrics directly on the services through through those tags. And if there is a problem that is detected, we can that problem and send it over back to NeoLoad, which means I have a bidirectional information. I am returning to NeoLoad the exact picture of what happens in the services, but also the dependencies used by that services. And also I am alerted that there is a problem on specific nodes or specific services or process that is currently used by during the load test.
And that's, I think, pretty cool because you have access to every piece of the infrastructure that supports the app or the service that you're testing, horizontally and vertical dependency. So, and also this goes into what you said earlier, Docker, Cloud Foundry, OpenShift, Kubernetes, and any type of metric, anything, any piece of the infrastructure that supports the app that you're testing. First of all, you tell Dynatrace that you're running a test against this piece of the infrastructure, part of the infrastructure, but you also can pull out the data and you can set specific rules for the Dynatrace AI engine so that it makes you aware as the test is running in case something is already abnormal, which is also great, Henrik, because we talked about this. And as much as you would like that people run tests for longer, I think what we want is faster feedback. So if we, instead of waiting for an hour of a test, if we can already tell the user after 10 minutes something is going terribly wrong, it's better to abort the test early on, telling them doesn't make sense to run the full hour because we already know something is wrong, because we have already seen it that in the infrastructure in the back end, something is already falling apart. And therefore, this is an amazing way how to speed up the continuous feedback cycle. Right? That is pretty sweet.
So to summarize what we provide here with the bidirectional integration, so on the left side we have a NeoLoad, on the right side we have Dynatrace. So first thing is, because I'm running tests as a performance engineer using NeoLoad and as an expert in NeoLoad, I want to be able to take advantage of the data that Dynatrace is able to collect and do my analysis and dashboards from there. But more than that, once I want to do some drill down and analysis, I want to understand things. So first, we are sending the context. So we are the request attributes. Like I said, they are setting automatically. So I can look at my request and start using all the features to analyze with the help of the request attributes, do the pure path or service flow and do analysis and see where I'm spending times. The second thing we're doing, we are sending NeoLoad metrics in Dynatrace. So all the information about the user load, the hit per second, the number of transactions per second, the errors, and so on. We are sending events to all the different services involved in that test. So they will be aware that there was a specific tests, what was the test name, the description of the test, the URL to reach to the NeoLoad dashboards. So all the information required to be able to reach easily to your test results. And last is the problems. So be able to set the roles and get a feedback from Dynatrace that during the load test we had several problems. One related to the roles that you've defined, but also maybe also the AI roles that has been also raised by Dynatrace automatically. So I think it gives you all the relevant information to understand exactly and precisely what happened in your systems and take the right decision. So I think before we jump to the demonstration, what I wanted to explain shortly is the platform that we provide. So as you may know, as a load tester or performance tester, performance engineer, you used to have the concept of controller and load limiters. This is pretty often used in most of the different solutions of the market. So we had that, of course. We have that model to be on-prem or on the cloud. And what we provide now is the dashboards, and it fits very well in this continuous testing approach, where I don't need a solution running on my Jenkins or in my servers. I just need it when I run the tests. So you can spin up controllers, you can spin up load limiters on Docker or in OpenShift or Kubernetes and destroy them. And the thing is, because they're connected to our web dashboards, you will have all the data there. So you don't need any component running anymore. You just need a dashboard. And dashboards, we have APIs, and we can expose the metrics within your tool chain. So, and Dynatrace will be one of them, of course. The thing that we have introduced as well, we talked about the fact that we want to do early performance testing in microservices or in cloud or modern architecture. We used to have this UI GUI-based scripting approach, which makes a lot of sense. And we have built a lot of logic around it. And I think it makes sense when you have a workflow, when we have a lot of a lot of requests there. It's faster and more efficient to do it, to use the UI for the GUI in that approach. But when it comes to testing two APIs or one API, one microservices, using the UI could be frustrating because it's a very technical environment. It makes more sense to have the ability to start designing your test through the code. So we have the Java JUnit library where you can build your NeoLoad test from a Java library. Or if you not have no Java skills, you can do it through the YAML description file. And at the end of the day, what we are providing is a NeoLoad project, which means I can start coding with the help of my developers. And then later on the cycle, I want to take the test case built by the help of my developer and enhance it by adding extra calls so I can reuse the work. I can open the project through the UI and do my changes. So I think it's really a really efficient collaboration. So the platform as it is you have several formats of scripting, UI, Java, YAML files, and then you send it over to the platform where you can see the runtime, the results, and like I mentioned, we have all those APIs which allow us to expose our metrics into a lot of different solutions, and Dynatrace obviously is one of them. So now we have the context, understanding of the platform and so on. So let's have a look at what we provide directly in the tools. So here, so this is Jenkins. So I'm going to show you, explain later on the concept. So let's jump it to NeoLoad Web. So here, this is the home page of NeoLoad Web, and I recently launched a test a few minutes ago on a component cards. And if I jump it to the test results here, like a traditional load test, I will have the user load, the hit per second, all the statistics about it, the events, the SLAs. But what I would like to do is where I can have the Dynatrace data. So let's create a new dashboard, and I want to see let's say, okay, I'm fishing for comparing this test trend that I built, launched by Jenkins. I look at the response time. So I'm going to create one graph for this. And then close to that graph, or I could do correlate with the monitoring data, but I want to do two different graphs here. I want to grab the information that Dynatrace provide. And you can see here, I have all the different, so cards is my service, but I have also the cards database, I have the hosts. And within one of the things, something we didn't explain is we also collect the number of process running under that services. So if you are in a fully elastic architecture based on containers, I can know exactly the number of processes running it. So if it's a simple app, so one container, but obviously I may be interested to see, okay, I have similar performance, but I'm consuming 10 more containers. Potentially, it will be more costly, especially if I deploy it on the cloud. So now,
and Henrik, I think the cool thing of this is this data comes in automatically thanks to your integration, because you're walking through the dependency tree. There's nothing you need to configure. It just happens automatically that this data gets pulled into NeoLoad. So you can, if you want to stay in NeoLoad and do your analysis, you can do it here, NeoLoad and Dynatrace data. And I just see there's a question that came in that was asking, well, why do you provide both options, either NeoLoad or Dynatrace dashboards? Because I believe we want to give the data in either tool, and then whoever feels more comfortable in one tool can then use that tool for the analysis versus the other, right?
So what I'm doing here, what I want to show is the ability to compare things. So you can do it obviously after the test, which I'm doing at the moment, but you can do it during the test, which is more efficient because I'm doing live comparison. And I want to compare with the last run I run with the card. So this is the build 69. I'm comparing build 69 with build 70. So I'm grabbing the results of build 70, and I'm taking the same that I'm selected from Dynatrace, and I'm putting over there, which means now I'm comparing two Dynatrace metrics, one for the build 70 and one from the build 69. And I'm able to do that after the test, obviously, but I can do it during the live tests. So I can do live comparison as well. So that I think is quite awesome. If I do it with Dynatrace, I can use it. Obviously, I can do it with NeoLoad, so I can compare the response time. So I think if you're trying to figure out if you have any regressions, this is super efficient. So what do we have now in Dynatrace? So Dynatrace, I will start going in transaction services. So first thing, last hour up. And you can see here first, I got all those auto tagging rules. So NeoLoad uppercase, this is the tags that we are automatically creating. So all the traffic of NeoLoad, you don't have to create the rules anymore. Those are created automatically. The second thing here, I am different tags based on, it's a container Docker environment. So I have metadata on my Docker files, Docker Compose files, and Dynatrace is able to get it. So that is quite efficient. So I'm going to just look at cars. This is the cars service I just used few minutes ago. So now it's offline, it seems so. So let's look at carts dev, which is this one, up. And what I'm seeing here is the test that we've run a few minutes ago. First, let's have a look at problems. There is one problem that I was open at 3:37. So, and you can see NeoLoad problem. Oh, my webcam is dead. That's weird. So you can see here that there's a problem that has been opened here during this test. So I can click on the details of the problems, jump to the problem analysis in Dynatrace, and figure out why I got that problem. So this problem is based on enemy detection rules that has been defined in NeoLoad directly. The other thing is events. So here, if I expand, I can see that I got some events has been placed here on this on build 70 here. I can have the link, so I can jump back directly in NeoLoad directly. If you want to see the NeoLoad metrics, obviously I can create the dashboards, but if I go to custom charts as well in Dynatrace, I can just type NeoLoad. NeoLoad, where is it? Last 2 hours maybe up. Oh, that's a demo effect. I don't see it. Never mind. But yeah, basically you got the NeoLoad metrics as well. So this is basically what you're getting. So I'm looking at the watch. We have 5 more minutes. So I think just before jumping to the rest of the content, here the test has been built here is made by code approach. So this is I'm going to look at the configuration of the NeoLoad design. It's a YAML file, so it could be stored in your Git repository or Bitbucket. All the tests is defined here, and along with it, I have added a file here called Dynatrace and Anomaly Detection Rule, where I'm going to just define that either response times or the service, and it's if it's above 100 milliseconds, then it's going to be a performance problem. And this is what you saw a few minutes ago with the problem widget of Dynatrace. All right, so let's go back to the content. Andy?
Yes, I'm still here, and I think it was good that we turned off the video cameras, because I think it was more interesting to actually see your, let's say, the screen itself. There's a couple of questions that already came in, and we have a couple of minutes for questions. So please make sure if you have questions to put them into the question feature of GoToWebinar. I want to highlight one particular thing that I am super excited about, and I think Henrik, you are too, because you know we are kind of spearheading the Captain project. Now, what is Captain? In case you have not heard about Captain. Captain is an open source framework, and it's basically the control plane for continuous delivery and continuous operations in cloud native applications. Neotys is one of the early contributors to Captain. If you want to learn more about Captain, check out captain.sh. It's open source. Obviously, you'll also find it on GitHub. And from a high level perspective, what it really does and the problem it solves, it is fully automating and orchestrating the way of an artifact through the continuous delivery pipeline. The workflow looks like this. The developer pushes a new image to the Docker registry, which then executes or sends an event to Captain, the control plane, which then, based on configuration, in case you tell Captain you have a two-stage pipeline, staging and prod, will automatically deploy your code with whatever deployment tool you have. You may use Jenkins, you may use something else. It tells the deployment option how to deploy it. Let's say Shadow. Then the load testing tool or the testing tool will be executed, in this case NeoLoad, because there's an integration from Captain to NeoLoad to use NeoLoad as a testing tool. And then at the end of the test, we have an evaluation phase where we are using a service called Pitometer. It's also part of Captain. It's also open source, which can pull out metrics from different types of sources. NeoLoad is one of them, Dynatrace is one of them, and other data sources can also be pulled out to evaluate how a build, how a deployment is doing. In case this is good, then Captain will automatically promote this artifact into the next stage, following a GitOps approach. All the configuration is stored in Git. And if so, it will be, let's say, deployed or promoted into prod, where you can define what type of deployment scenario you want to do, blue-green, for instance. It will do a blue-green deployment. Again, we can evaluate the metrics. We can run production tests as well if we want to, and then in the end we operate. And this is where I'm very happy that Neotys is part of this open source project, which is curated by Dynatrace, but there's several contributors already. It's still in the early stages, but thanks to Henrik and the team, it's great to see that we're all helping together to make continuous delivery and continuous operations and continuous quality a reality for the cloud native world. And that's why I'm very excited about it. So please, everyone, check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff happening here. And thanks, Henrik, for that, for the contribution.
You're welcome. But thanks, Andy, for suggesting. It's a great project.
So to recap, do you want to recap?
We can try to mix of recaps. So I will start from the left side, which is NeoLoad, and I will leave you to the right side. So like you saw previously in the demonstration, if you run a load test and you have Dynatrace, you will be able to take advantage of the metrics that Dynatrace is able to collect. So I showed you we have by default, we are monitoring the services and the hosts, and also we're collecting the processes as well. So that is automatically. But if you're fishing for specific time series IDs, you can also customize and precise what type of time series IDs you want to collect from. So this ID, for those who are not familiar, is the Dynatrace metrics that Dynatrace expose in the monitoring component. So that's for sure. You will get a proper vision on what happens in our systems. And get the insights directly in your dashboards. But we also do on the other way around in Dynatrace.
Yeah. So on the Dynatrace side, I was just kind of skimming through the questions a little bit because people were asking. So, I mean, NeoLoad already has a monitoring capability built in. Why do you need Dynatrace? What value does it add? Or if I'm on JMeter right now and I switch over to NeoLoad, can I also, does this work easily, and how can I benefit from all of this? So I wanna just highlight again the reason why you wanna combine a tool like NeoLoad and Dynatrace is because Dynatrace in this case gives you the full stack visibility. We've been doing full stack monitoring for many years, and we have optimized our deterministic AI to really understand performance behavior in production, but also in pre-prod coming in from tools like NeoLoad. And therefore, we give NeoLoad, or the performance engineers of the future, much more data in a much more efficient, pre-analyzed way than a single tool can do. That's why I think the combination of our two products, the partnership that we have, really enables the next generation of performance engineering, which is automated because we need to invest in automation. We need to use AI in order to analyze more data. It is self-service, and it is integrated into a continuous delivery process, because only with that can we make sure that high quality is really ending up in production by using our tools in the continuous delivery cycle. And I'm very happy with the partnership we have. If you want to try both tools, you can see the links here. If you want to try the integration, all is here. And Henrik, I know we should take a couple of more minutes to do some Q&A. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There is I see that there's a lot of questions.
I think the couple that, because I skimmed them, the session is recorded, right? The session is recorded. People will get a follow-up link for the recording. That's important.
So I would say that first, what is the value of question related to the monitoring? There is, of course, we do the monitoring, but NeoLoad provides, I would say, a passive monitoring layer. Passive. What is a passive monitoring layer? I am grabbing the resource utilizations on different type of technology, so WebSphere or Apache or whatever. So if there is a problem, I can point out the nodes. But at case, I'm able to point out what is it's slow because of that query, or it's slow because of that service. And here, the value of combining NeoLoad and Dynatrace is to point out directly what is taking the time, what is consuming your time, and have the proper information to share to your developers so they can improve your application. So that's, I think, in terms of time, this is the best things.
And I think also from a monitoring difference, obviously I don't know all the capabilities of your agents, but Henrik, one of the things that people love about the Dynatrace One agent is full stack, code level instrumentation, log analytics. So we have all of your dependency, all of your database queries. We see everything that happens, and this is a lot of wealthy information for performance engineers to optimize their applications and also the infrastructure. And because we work natively in Kubernetes, in OpenShift, in Cloud Foundry, on all the different PaaS vendors and cloud vendors, it's very attractive to combine these two tools, right? Great load execution, great load analytics from NeoLoad, and then the full stack monitoring data and the AI on top of this data from Dynatrace.
There's a question about when you have NeoLoad monitoring agents running on the host application server. So first of all, we don't need to have an agent. By default, it's controller. But I think from the moment Dynatrace into place, it doesn't make sense to add monitoring from NeoLoad plus monitoring from Dynatrace, because you already have the picture with Dynatrace. So it's just be smart. If you have implemented Dynatrace, take advantage of the fact Dynatrace is there.
Mm-hmm. I think the next question is around NeoLoad support for SAP.
Yes,
that might be a good one for you.
So I would say yes, but short answer yes. But longer answer, I would say we support the SAP modern stack. So that would be the Fiori, that will include, HANA, of course, the S4 HANA approach, but also all the latest Hariba systems and SuccessFactor. But if you're planning to do the migrations of the SAP systems, you needs to do some baseline. So that's why we support also the R3, so the GUI, SAP GUI protocol as well.
Mm-hmm. Then a couple of questions that came in on the Dynatrace side. So first of all, yes, Siva, we are seeing the NeoLoad performance data in Dynatrace, but we also on the Dynatrace side see transaction response times, failure rates, CPU consumption, all the dependency information. So we get all these features out of the box, right? If you install Dynatrace, you get full stack monitoring, and because of the integration, we know which tests are executed when, and we can see specific transactions and load test information in both products actually. And then I think it depends on the use case. You may want to start in NeoLoad and then walk over to Dynatrace, or the other way around. What Henrik showed earlier with the comparison of two load tests, Henrik, what you showed, I love this. I think this is where I will probably use NeoLoad, because your dashboarding capabilities there are just phenomenal, right? And then if you want to drill deeper into code level information, exception information, database statements, that's obviously where you then want to go to Dynatrace. So these are some of the things that I can answer here.
Yeah, so there was one question, can I get all these features only with the integration with NeoLoad Web or with standalone? So yes, it's only with the web. Web is required because if we want bi-direction integration, the web is obviously required to take advantage of the integration. Regarding the installation of NeoWeb, it's you can install it in any servers. We try to make it simple with a Docker Compose file. So if you want to deploy it in a Docker environment where you have Windows servers, you can do that. Or if you have pure Linux, you can do that as well. So it's very flexible. And we're going to provide soon a Kubernetes Compose file as well. So if you want to deploy it directly in your OpenShift or Kubernetes cluster, you will be able to do that as well.
Then Marcel is asking, is the short testing time enough for the AI to build good baselining? The answer is no, but the real answer is our AI can actually be told what is normal and what is not normal, and you can either do this obviously yourself through the Dynatrace UI, or you leverage the integration that NeoLoad built, where in NeoLoad you basically specify what is normal, and then thanks to the integration, they're teaching our AI what is normal behavior. And if you look at the current screenshot that is on there, where it says number 5, NeoLoad anomaly detection, this is basically anomalies that the Dynatrace AI detected based on kind of taught, anomalies, and that's the cool thing, right? I mean, this is normally if you have a production environment, obviously we'd have the automated baselining, but for short term, for sporadic load, you would just tell the AI, and either through our REST API, through the UI, or I would definitely encourage you, if you have NeoLoad, just through the integration that these guys built.
So question about the integration. So the integration is currently available in our lab. There is the production branch and the development branch. So the new version that you just saw is currently in the development branch. It's going to be soon pushed to the production branch. So if you want to take advantage, you can go to the develop branch and they will see that there's a release. So you will have to download that release, the jar files, and to take advantage, you just have to deploy it either in your project, either in NeoLoad installation folder directly, and you will have you can take advantage of the new integration.
And I think there is a couple of questions around how does the Dynatrace AI differentiate between the different test runs. This is the integration where NeoLoad is pushing test information to Dynatrace, basically telling Dynatrace that on this process, on this service, on this machine, on these containers, we are running this particular test at this time. So this is context information that we showed earlier that's automatically be pushed over to Dynatrace, so the AI is aware of that this is currently a test that is running with the context of which test, who executed the test, how long did it run. This is all there. This is how the AI is fed with more data. There's a lot of other questions here. Let's see. There is the question around. Sorry,
yes,
do you want to take one?
You should download the new integration, because there is a remark about the integration, and we are not referring to the application. Just the application. Confirm me if I'm wrong, Andy. But application is for a real user monitoring structure. If you're monitoring and you want to collect, it's going to be through transaction services. So don't try to dig in application. Application is more for real user monitoring.
Exactly, yeah. And then Sarat is asking, currently we're using Dynatrace 1 Agent 163. So for using to this platform, we need to pay more. No, it's the same license. There's no licensing fee for this integration. It all works through the existing APIs. So that's the nice thing. If you have already Dynatrace, then you can just give it a shot. That's the nice thing.
And I think there's a lot of people asking on how to take advantage of that. So I think we should do a kitchen TV about it. So it explains step by step things how you configure a smart discovery of your service name in Docker or Kubernetes environment, and the same in NeoLoad. So I think that will answer to most of the question on how can they implement it. But it's very easy, to be honest. Look at the documentation, but we will try to do our best to provide some more content.
Yeah, and also let's do a performance clinic on that as well. So kitchen, performance clinic, so that both worlds, the NeoLoad community and Dynatrace community, sees how easy that is. Cool. All right.
All right.
Henrik,
That was
I think it was.
it was an honor to have you with me during this 40 minutes. That was great.
Well, the honor is on my end, and it seems most of the people stayed until the end. So hopefully we didn't. It seems we were telling them useful things, right? That's the most important thing. All right. With that, I want to say goodbye to the world for today, at least.
Enjoy your day, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your morning or evening, whatever you were. Thanks to be with us during this webinar. It was a pleasure to present it. And if you had to leave earlier, and if you didn't have the time to be with us, you will receive the link to watch the recorded webinar.
Exactly. And take a look at Captain, kettn.sh. That would be awesome. It's a great open source project. And again, thanks to Henrik and NeoLoad for contributing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. See you, Indy. Bye.
Bye-bye.